If you want to make $20,000 a month and get started in Airbnb, but you don't have any money to begin with, then this video is for you. This is an interview that I did about a year ago with a homeowner that I managed their property. It was for sale and they were losing money every single month until we signed a contract and I managed this house for them, put it on Airbnb, and it was a win-win situation. And if you watch until the very end, I'm going to give you a special gift that'll help you maximize and accelerate your profit in Airbnb. So stay till the very end, enjoy the video. Today I'm here talking to Steve. He's the owner of this house that I've partnered up with to put this 4-bedroom, 2-bath house on Airbnb. And I just want to get his understanding or what his thoughts are about why in the world he would let me list his house on Airbnb for rent.
Guys, let me tell you something. Charles is, he's talked to me about this for probably past 3 months, 6 months? Yeah. And I've been trying to talk my business partners into basically letting him do it. You know, I saw a ton of value in this. Ultimately, there's a ton of value in this. This house has been sitting here, I would say, 6 months too long. This thing, we listed it, figured we would be able to sell it. We just flipped 2 houses right down the street, right here on the corner.
Yeah.
And they both sold like a month apart from each other. They sold fairly quick. One was smaller. The other one was probably about the same size as this house, right? I think what's killing this house is there's no driveway, you know. It's a beautiful home. You can see that it's got tons of character. All this old school trim, but I don't think people can see the vision, right?
Yeah, so I staged it and now people can see how you would live here.
Right. And ultimately, too, the goal is we're losing money monthly. Yeah. So the goal is for us to save money here.
So you got taxes, you got insurance, you got utilities, and a payment.
Correct. Correct. And so when you came to me, you told me about, look, I'll put everything up, I'll pay for all the furniture, I'll manage it, you guys pay for nothing.
Yeah. Take the expenses off the top, split the difference, 60-40.
Right. What's to argue about that?
So if you're spending, let's just say it's $500 a month, it's probably a little more than that, but then you go to making $1,000 a month, that's a $1,500 swing.
Right. And so what happens is the house sits here. And it sits here, we keep having to drop the price until we're down to nothing, and then we got to bring the money to the table, right?
Yeah.
We do not want to do that. So in this scenario here, it gives us the opportunity to showcase the house once again because it's staged.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're not losing here, we're gaining.
So I've proven this model with my own. I buy foreclosures, I fix them up, I stage them, I rent them on Airbnb, and I have them listed for sale.
Right.
And I fully disclose to my guests up front that within 24 hours, you know, the house is for sale, and I'll give you 24 hours notice, but you might expect to have it shown. It's never been a problem. Sometimes if a guest says, well, I got a baby, please, you know, it has to be before 5 or something, so I can accommodate them. The other thing is I don't have the calendar available for more than 30 days, so if we happen to get an offer, you can still close within 30 days. And we're maximizing profit. What I hate in my property is to have something sit empty. So I never sell property until I came up with this concept because I didn't want it even empty for a month.
Right. Well, I think it's brilliant because what it does, ultimately, I don't know why we wouldn't do this on every house.
It's a lot of work.
I know it's a lot of work for you, right? But, you know, we have my son over here helping us unload this thing, but I think Charles does a great job. I think you do a great job, man. You know, but ultimately, once again, you're helping people pretty much stage the house, help visualize the house, for selling. And ultimately, once again, you're saving people money.
It's always ready to show because it's going to be cleaned after every
Right.
guest. So what I teach my students is how do you get into Airbnb if you don't have the 15 or 20% down payment? You can't just go out and maybe your credit's not good or you just don't have the down payment. So how do you get in this game? Because it is such massive cash flow opportunity. And this is one way, partner up with somebody that has a house that's for sale, that's been vacant.
Right.
And I think over time, you guys might just say, you know what, we're making a great return, why do we even want to sell it anymore?
Right, that's true. But yeah, ultimately what happens is, you see a lot of these houses sitting around Charleston, these bigger homes.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna call the realtor up and say, look, talk to your seller, I've got a huge opportunity for them. They're having trouble selling it, sitting empty,
Yeah.
let me come in, they can make 40% profit off of letting me manage and stage their home.
I actually have a template for that, and I teach that in my course on how to do that. I have enough of my own property, but this is, just one way that you can do it without having the upfront cost.
So every time you talk to a realtor, you ultimately email them the process, they understand it, and then
Fully explain it, and there's, every realtor has a customer that's frustrated. They have a house, it's been sitting on the market, and just like you guys, they're paying utilities, they're having to pay to get the yard cut. There's problems, like say the roof leaks or something happens with the air conditioning unit, and it just, they don't even know about it for weeks or months until somebody that really wanted to see it comes in, and then they realize the air doesn't work, the roof leaks, the grass is 2 feet high.
Right.
When I see a property like that, I hit them low.
you're working the bugs out of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. We found some outlets that didn't work, so we fixed that stuff. We found a leaky faucet, we fixed that. So there's little things that may be noticeable to a buyer that wouldn't say anything, but now it's gonna be in perfect condition.
So, have you had any major concerns with any of these sellers of these homes? Like, when you set these things up, what was the worst thing that you've had to deal with?
The biggest concern that I've had, and it's not really a true concern, but there's one gentleman that's interested in me doing this, but it's a $600,000 house. In Charleston, West Virginia, $600,000 house is a big, nice house. It's the upper market. So then I have to put nicer furniture. I have to buy more furniture. It's 6 bedrooms, 5 baths, so everything, it's gonna cost me 40, 50 grand to set it up. But I still see an opportunity. I can sell the furniture. It could be like a moving sale or an estate sale if he does sell it. This house happens to be on the market. It's been on the market for 5 years. So I think he would just love it. And I may end up having a long-term partnership or being able to pick that property up for nothing if it continues to stay on the market. And then I own it and am able to just turnkey because I already own all the furniture and everything else in it.
Yeah, the higher end markets around West Virginia are really tough. And anything over like 260 and above, it's gonna They sit. So with you coming in, is always gonna help the situation. Like I said, imagine utilities on that 6,000 square foot home. That's time.
Yeah.
But once again, you're coming in, you're saving the day.
Even if it just costs him nothing and the house is maintained and I cover all these things, he's better off.
It's a win-win every time.
So one of the other, you asked me what else would be a big concern for me. If I'm going into a house, you guys have just remodeled this house completely.
Right.
But if I go into a house that has deferred maintenance, again, maybe the heater, the air doesn't work, or there's some faulty plumbing or that kind of thing, that's something you have to watch out for, because I don't want to go in and rehab the whole house before I stage it.
Right.
And there's ways to protect yourself on that. I typically have, if the house sells within so many months or a certain price, I take a percentage of the sale price to cover my expenses to move it and any maintenance. If I don't have enough time to get a track record on, if this house sells immediately, I want to know that I'm going to recoup my furniture and my moving costs and setup costs. And these guys have agreed to take the house off the market for 3 months, and then that way it'll give me some time to recoup. So I'll have at least 4 months of rental before it, even if they sold it the first day they listed it again, I got 4 months to recoup my expenses.
Yeah, because there's no reason for us to put Charles in any type of position. He's helping us, and by us taking it off the market, we're just trying to ensure that, you know, you get your money back. You know, as least as much as your money back as possible.
Yeah. And it's a truly win-win situation. It's great for the owner, and it's great for the person that wants to hustle and is willing to put the time and effort in and a little bit of money. You can be creative. You could furnish this house going on Let Go, Offer Up, Craigslist, Goodwill, yard sales. There's tons of ways to furnish a house on a budget. I was just flipping through Facebook Marketplace the other day, and if I had the time, we might have to take a week and just drive the box truck around buying new stuff up, because you can get all kinds of deals. If you have the time and you're willing to do a little bit of moving yourself, you really can stage a house nicely.
Well, a lot of the stuff you have here now is, it's from some of your hotels, right?
Some of the furniture is from hotels when they switch them out, and that's another great place. A franchise hotel, every 5 years or so, they require the franchisee to change the furniture. So they'll have these sales, TVs, any hard good stuff, lamps, tables, desks, bed sets, that kind of stuff, couches, and then also the linens and that kind of thing. If they're not too worn out, they might change the style or their color schemes. So you can pick that kind of stuff up in bulk, but there's tons of ways. Just be creative.
So, guys, once again, you have to understand what Charles is bringing to you with his Airbnb is just a way out of you drowning. Typically.
Yeah. You know, especially, I'm sure when you started flipping houses, you made mistakes. And this is a great way to bail somebody out if they get in over their head,
right,
where maybe they can't afford a mortgage, but they thought they were going to make 30, 40 grand. All of a sudden, there's some major expense that they have to come up with, or it just sits on the market too long. It'll help them dig themselves out of that situation.
Yeah, a lot of times these people, if you're a first-time flipper, a lot of people around here don't realize about structural. They're just not paying attention to certain parts of the house, looking for damage, and then once they get into it, they're pretty much way in over their head. Or ultimately, they hire the wrong contractor.
Yeah.
They pay them too much. They don't finish the job. They got to bring another contractor in, and then they're going to have to bring money to the table to sell the home. And this situation right here, so that's another thing. If you are over, take the house completely off the market until you can save that 40%, put it away to where you can cover your cost to get the house sold.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right?
It's a great partnership, and I think there's all kinds of opportunity, all kinds of situations. You know, another thing I just thought about, what if you have an elderly parent or grandparent in another state? You don't want to and they pass away or get in like a nursing home or something. You don't want to have to mess with that house, but maybe you don't know the value. You could find somebody in that area that might be interested in making a little bit of cash, cleaning this house up and staging it and renting it on Airbnb. And then maybe you just have a cash flow every month instead of a burden of a house that you inherited and you don't know anything about the state or the city that it's in.
You know, ultimately too, I guess sometimes you have these issues with the city, just depending on what city you're in. You may or may not be able to do it. But there's certain ways around that, right? Haven't you found certain loopholes in some situations for Airbnb?
It's by city to city. Some cities just outright ban it. I'm not sure exactly which ones. New York City, I know, is one. I think Singapore. But what about New Jersey? What about across the river? Brooklyn? There are always, even in our town, there's 20 different towns within a few miles So you can always go to the town next door. It might be 5 or 10 miles away, but the laws are completely different. There's a different mayor, and they understand that it brings tourism, or even a rural area. You know, don't be afraid of a rural area. There's no hotels there. So what you think may not be a good short-term rental could boom because there's maybe an elderly population, but there's no hotels, nowhere for anybody to stay to visit those folks. So, or there's construction, or they're drilling for wells, or some temporary work that's there. So people love to rent those type of places. So don't worry about the size of a city. It works in every single size city there is. It can work anywhere.
Well, Charles, I gotta thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the partnership.
I'm gonna learn a lot from this Airbnb as well, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a good learning experience for sure.
Great. Well, we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.